Netherlands. Dr. V.N. Power, Principal, STTP College of Engineering, Dr. Varsha Bore, the Program Convener and Head of the Department of Information Technology, all heads of the department, my colleagues, and all faculty members from various colleges present for today we are going to learn about how amazing cloud technology world of computing. In the upcoming session, we will talk about the cloud computing, all of the different things all of the different things it can do, and how it's making a big impact on today's technology. So get ready to discover the cool things the cloud can do, and understand all the different ways we can use it. Welcome and explore the features of computing today. We all belong to the rich Indian tradition. A special event begins by inviting a god for blessing. I call upon Punam Putraji for Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या श्वेव्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिः दैवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा.
Thank you, Punam. Now it's honored to have Mr. Amar Kalviketi as speaker for today's program. I take this opportunity to introduce you. Sir has more than 25 years international experience in a technology leadership, particularly in cloud infrastructure for both business to business and business to customer. His expertise spans various technologies like public cloud and cloud native. He completed the Advanced Management Program for INSEAD Business School, Driving Growth, Driving Growth School Innovation Management Program for Harvard Business School, and MBA from University of Amsterdam Business School, and a bachelor's degree in engineering from Shivaki University, Kolhapur. And recently, he completed his LLB in Government Law College, Mumbai. Third holds the prestigious certifications such as the Cisco, Microsoft, Alibaba, Oracle, and AWS Cloud. Living in Netherlands for 16 plus years, Amar holds the Netherlands EU passport. His skills covered public and private cloud security SDN solutions. Welcome, sir. We are excited to have our principal, Dr. Vijay Kumar and Pawar, join us for the STTP program with lots of experience and strong commitment to academic excellence. He played a key role in making our college successful. Taking about his academic achievements, Sir has secured his PhD degree from the prestigious institute. Sir has, Sir has over 25 years teaching experience and he has several publications in his credit. His contribution towards research grants from Airtel and Bill is remarkable. He is serving for various professional bodies and also delivered expert talks, actively participated in STTP workshops and conferences. He is a great source of inspiration to us. Welcome. Now I request our Honorable Principal, Dr. V.N. Power, sir, to address the day. Over to you.
On the behalf of AC Patel College, I welcome all uh, delegates as well as I welcome our today's speaker, Mr. Amar Kalvikatti from Netherlands. Sir, we are very much thankful to you for joining with us and conducting this full 1 week program on cloud computing and its services. Of course, this is called as a training session, short session, and definitely it adds knowledge to all delegates like teachers because teachers supposed to be trained with advanced topic and then they can teach to the students. Of course, once again, I would like to congratulate our IT department for conducting such a advanced topic and demand-based topic. I congratulate Head of Department, IT Department, Mrs. Dr. Varsha Bole, as well as the convener, Madam M.N. Devari, as well as S.A. Koth. Similarly, all organization members, those who have done this particular job for conducting online program, which is approved by ISTLs. I'm happy to see that within this vacation time, all are utilizing this 1 week time for training purpose on advanced topic. Also, as per as the online concern, definitely the online having some advantage, disadvantage, but you will have flexibility to understand the thing. You will have flexibility to interact the speaker from far away distance. Of course, Mr. Amar is from India and from Netherlands he is going to share his knowledge and which will be very much helpful to all of us because nowadays all kind of applications are definitely based on cloud and cloud computing and its services are important. And with respect to this topic, our IT department as well as all delegates, the means participants will have this fruitful and knowledgeable interaction within a 1 week time. So once again, I congratulate and thanks to Mr. Amar Kalvikatti for providing his full support cooperation to AC Patel College. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our estimated head of department, Dr. Varsha Bhule, who brings her a wealth of experience and visionary approach. Dr. Bhule has played a key role in shaping our department, contributing significantly to its growth and success. Man has PhD degree in computer engineering and really good of things like working with image, thermal imaging, and smart technology. He got a patent in India, US, and Europe, and also received grant from her research from Department of Biotechnology. Man is known, man is known for doing well in innovation, challenges, and hackathons. Man got awards like the Idiotech Leadership Award and Bhushan Most Influential Professor Award. She writes a lot of papers that are considered really good and even got a Best Paper Award. Man helps review other people's work for big journals and conferences. She is a part of committee of Mumbai University and took a course of things like the patent and machine learning from top places like the NVIDIA, IBM, MacWorks, and more. I request our HOD Dr. Varsha Bole ma'am to speak few words. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, am I audible?
Thank you.
A very good morning and wish you all a happy and prosperous New Year 2024. So, from the beginning of New Year, we are here to attend this STTP program. So it's my pleasure to welcome all the distinguished gathering of faculty members from various institutes, enthusiastic students and researchers, as well as our distinguished speaker who has graciously accepted our invitation and to guide us through this IST approved short-term training program on cloud computing and its services. Before we dive into the heart of today's program, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to Mr. Amar Kalvikatti sir, our expert in the field of cloud computing. His presence here is a testament to his commitment to education and his willingness to share his knowledge with us. So we are privileged to have him guide us through this learning experience. As we embark on this journey into the realm of cloud computing, it's crucial to recognize the significance of staying updated and relevant in our rapidly evolving technological landscape. Cloud computing has become an integral part of our technological ecosystem. If we take the example today's STTP, this today's our speaker joins us from this Netherlands, and all of you, our participants, connect from various corners of India. It's the epitome of power of cloud computing only. The seamless interaction and the real-time collaboration we are experiencing are made possible by the distinguished computing resources of the cloud, transcending geographical boundaries and fostering a truly global learning environment. So it's not that cloud computing is a just buzzword. It is a a transformative force for that. It is reshaping the way we work, collaborate, and deliver services. So in today's digital age, understanding the cloud computing is not a choice, but a necessary for anyone involved in the technology. So our goal is to equip both faculty members and the students with the skill and the knowledge necessary to thrive in an increasingly digital and interconnected world. And this program is not just to impart the knowledge, but to empower all of us to adapt, innovate, and inspire the next generation of the learner. So, as a faculty member, we play a crucial role in the bridging the gap between the theoretical knowledge and the practical applications. The insights gained from this training program will not only enhance our understanding but will enable us to impart the knowledge effectively to our students, ensuring they are well prepared for the challenges of the professional world. And for our students and the researchers who have joined here, the skills you acquire here will not only augment your academic journey, but will also be invaluable to you as you step into the professional arena. Take the full advantage of all the sessions, engage with the materials, and don't hesitate to ask the question. Our speaker is very much interactive. All of you, please take a brief look at the schedule we have shared. Amar sir will guide us through various aspects of cloud computing, including its fundamentals, key services, and the real world applications. The program has been designed to be interactive, so please, all of you, feel free to ask the questions and engage in the discussions. Your active participation is the key to making this training program a success. So, thank you all of you for joining, and let's get started. Over to you, Surika ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, without further delay, I invite Amar sir to start this session.
Amar sir, you are on mute.
Can you hear me now? Let me share my screen first. Let me know if you can able to see. Can you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Um, First of all, good morning to everyone. It's truly an honor and privilege to be with you here. It's too early for me. It's almost 6 o'clock in the morning. Could not able to see because there was a lot of fireworks in the night. You can imagine. Um, so without further ado, I first of all would like to wish you and your family a very happy and prosperous new year. I know it's a new start for everyone today. A lot of things we have already achieved in 2023, and I wish everyone will have the same and even more successes in 2024. Um, Stay safe, be strong. It is very important that we as human being, we have to mentally strong ourselves and physically as well. Then help each other in the not only the family and in the friends. uh, 1 second. Hello, can you hear me still? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, there was, I think the battery was low. Apologize. So once again, I wish you everyone good health and good life. Make sure you stay safe and help everyone, because the life is short and uncertain, to be honest with you. And since I lost my brother 2 years back, it is very important that we help each other before we leave, and make sure that uh, we live with dignity and honesty. With that, I would like to thank special thanks to AC Patel College of Engineering, who given me an opportunity to be with you. Um, like ma'am, you spoken a lot about me, but I'm I would like to say, to be honest with you, I'm a student equally with you. I'm not an expert. I think nobody's expert, because nobody knows everything. We learn every single day, few things step by step and one step at a time. So equally, this is an opportunity for me to learn from you as how to work with my customers. Because without customers, I think there is no opportunity for me also to learn from them. So that means I am equally a hungry student like you. And with that, this week it's very I would say special week, because my personal motto is to help and share the knowledge, and make sure that um, we go together to the new customers and make sure we add the value to their end users or customers. Because without customers, I think we cannot even add value to each other life. So first of all, thanks AC Patel College of Engineering, and so many people to thank, but I think because of the time as well as um, and I think the agenda is quite big. I don't want to take your names, but Principal Madam, HOD Madam, Surka Madam, and Devri Madam, thank you so much for coordinating with me initially and giving me an opportunity to be here with you. The one request to everyone, like Ma'am said, please raise your hand. Ask questions. The more questions you ask, it gives me an opportunity how can basically tackle that question, and how I can simplify my answer in a such way that you can understand the terms and technologies. Uh, as I said, every technology it comes with, there are some challenges, there are pros and cons, but how we can overcome those cons and move towards pros. And this is an opportunity to ask the questions. Do not hesitate, because hey, if you ask a question, you feel like hey, other people will laugh. No, I think there's no laugh or something. It's all about clearing your doubts, clearing your fundamentals, clearing your thought process. I think that is what we have to ask the question. And please do ask, because I don't know whether you have seen, I already have a whiteboard. The pen is in my hand, so I can go back, draw some drawings, make some graphical view, so that you can understand how the cloud is, how the architecture needs to be built, whether we are building web application or backend application, sorry, front end or backend, doesn't matter, or even IoT or AI based application, how that workflows work together. So please do raise your hand and drop me, because we have almost a week full agenda. But it's better if your foundation is clear, we can add knowledge on top of it and then move on. Um, so I think this agenda for a week has been already been shared. Uh, and that this is like a overview, but there are so much content in it. If you look at the day one is full of AWS. That means I'll be touching the foundation, and this foundation will applicable to the Azure only, because cloud is cloud. It doesn't matter whether it's AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, or IBM, or Alibaba Cloud. The cloud fundamental remains the same. Obviously, everybody has different services and the pricing model, but that is up to their own specific, or let's say their own in-house services or in-house pricing that compete with other cloud providers. That is separate. That we are not discussing the pricing in detail. Obviously, I'll be touching how you can calculate the pricing before you quote to the customer. I will touch to that point. And then from tomorrow onwards till the last day, we'll be covering Microsoft Azure. I think Microsoft Azure, what I heard that in Maharashtra, not a lot of college has been covered. So this is a fantastic opportunity for you and me to reshape and understand how we can learn the Microsoft Azure, why Microsoft has taken the place in competing with other cloud providers, and how Satya Nadella and their team thinking about how the next generation cloud system should look like. Because as I said, IoT is popping up. The low latency applications are very critical to their businesses. So how they are even thinking about um, edge computing in more specific into an account versus moving to the cloud itself for backend processing. We will touch that over the week. And now, if you look at for a day today, rather focusing on further days, we are in day one, Monday, first session. If you look at what we're gonna touch is fundamentals. Today, the first and foremost is understanding the basics, because I know that um, there are so many basics are there, and not everyone is good into one another technologies. Even I'm also learning day in day out about different use cases, different scenarios when work with the customers, because they have so many legacy systems. There's even some customers, they have mainframe still running because they are airline customers, aviation customers, and they are still figuring out how they can move mainframe back to the cloud. So there are a lot of legacy application where modernizing and moving to the cloud. So madam said it is complete transformation, and transformation is nothing but not only the technology transformation, is a people transformation, where people are still not ready to move to cloud because their mindset is not ready. They think they, if they move to the cloud, their job will, they will lose the job and their comfort zone will be changed. I think that is not the way. Like Tesla CEO Elon Musk says, the engineer must focus on the new design and architecture, and the robots must focus on how to manufacture the cars or any other things. And I think our job is to focus on how we can understand the requirement from a customer, how we can take that requirement, build an architect, ready-made architect for robots to go and build it. And that is what we have to basically reshape ourselves from now onwards, to focus on the building the designs and architecture. So and you will understand like how easy, if we are building any application within AWS and Azure, how you can draw a simple architecture and move your application within the cloud without knowing so many things actually. So that's the reason I'm putting I have the whiteboard where I will be drawing some sketch and architectures where you will understand how you take few things like the networking, the security aspect, um, which component you need to take into an account. So initially, I would like to start with the understanding as business, because a lot of people, I mean, as this is like there are professors are involved, some students are involved. So maybe it will be good to start with how the business work. Then we'll touch upon the cloud computing, specifically this today AWS, how you can create your own free tier account where there are 750 hours, which is almost a year. You can run few of the services for no cost, but there is no cost at all. You just run some, create some infrastructure, build some application, mobile base application, or even backend application, or maybe SAP or SQL application, whatever application you want to build, you can build with a free tier account. and then make your hands dirty. By making your hands dirty, you understand how to build some cloud-based applications. But also keep in mind, cloud is a dynamic change because the team like AWS and Azure and many other product providers, their product team is changing some of the things because customer is demanding more and more. So they have to change according to the customer demand. We'll touch upon some AWS global infrastructure. That means if you are a customer and you want to scale your business across the globe within a couple of days, how you can use that global infrastructure which is readily available by the cloud providers. And then you can take the same application, like for example Netflix, which is the same application all over the world, but the caching is changing because they only cache when the customer is demanding that particular movie or a series. We will touch that upon as a use case later by the end of the day. There will be economics, like why cloud, because there was a fundamental business demand is, hey, you know what, why do I have to move to cloud if I already have my services running on premise or my own data center? Then we need to see like how that complete cost structure will change. I will draw some of the basics for you. You will understand some finance in between. This is a fantastic opportunity to understand why finance is so critical to the business, because at the end of the day, it's a profit, right? And if you look at the colleges, the students are their customers. If there is no student, there is no use of college, and the college is not generating any revenue. uh, the owner or founder or whoever it is, they're basically doing a bad job. So we have to see like how we can make college as a business model, or institution as a business model, or a customer as a business model, and generate some revenue back end, and the shareholders can make profit at the end of the day. And at the end, I will be walking through the AWS console, on tomorrow Azure console or APIs, name it, and you will get an opportunity to see like how easily you can build some applications. And there will be small demo today, and in the later evening there will be a couple of other labs will be conducted. If you carefully listen today, and if you really understand some of the basics, you can easily pass AWS certified practitioner foundation course, for the foundation exam. I think you don't need to go through any other video or something. But listen carefully. If you're not clear, raise your hand, unmute yourself, and ask a question upfront, and that way we can move forward. So, without further ado, let's understand how the business work in reality, and how a company can expand their own businesses and customer base in the different markets. So let's take an example. Because I'm not authorized person to share any customer name, I thought that I'll share my own small consulting firm, as well as where I do consulting. That's an example. So let's assume that a Vikrami Cloud, which is my own small consulting sort of startup, where let's assume that I have a consulting, because I'm a technologist. I'm a day in day out engineer, architect, sometimes act as a CTO, um, and sometimes a student where I really need to understand something, right? But what I do eventually is connect with the customers and see what solution fit to their business needs. So what I do generally, or any company does, just assume that tomorrow you have your own startup and you want to offer a solution to the customer. What you do as a startup is you have your own company, you have a bunch of solutions you offer to the customer. Of course, there is a customer, maybe one customer, two customer, maybe 10 customer. As long as the customer is small and within your territory, you can manage your own. And what you do at the part of offering services, you get a monthly payment or monthly check back. Up to this point, it is okay, right? Because you have solutions, you're selling to your customers. But what happens if your customer and your territory is growing? If your customers are growing, you're getting big deals, you're winning big deals, and you really need to support those customers, because now you have one or up to 10 customer you can manage on your own, maybe let's say designing architecture, but you want to also manage and all managed services like 2065 days, 24-hour services. You need people, you need your offices, you need some investment. But as a startup, I do not have investment. So what I do, I generally go to the shareholders or investor. There are a bunch of venture capital companies in India or maybe US or Europe. You go and ask for series funding, basically series A, B, C funding. So what they do, the investor look at, hey, you have a great solution, your customer base is good. I think this is a good opportunity for them to invest and make you successful. So what they do, they generally take the 1 million, 2 million, whatever the series A, depends on the customer base. They invest in your company. That means they take the ownership within your company because you, because they want you to make successful. They want to invest in your company. So they invest in your company. That means they also acquire a share in your company. What generally as a part, as a Vikram Cloud does, basically take the money from the monthly payments, keep some margin, and return. Obviously, the investor who really want, when they invest, they want return on their investment. That is ROI. That I need to give in terms of dividend or share profit. If they get it in a positive way, they keep investing in my business because they see that I'm growing my customer base, right? I'm growing customer base. I'm expanding my global business. Maybe India, the Europe, in America, or America's market, maybe North and South America. So that means I'm expanding my global businesses and I'm still making profit. That means the shareholder making profit. And this is more or less the business works actually in reality. But you need to think about, as a company, you are a bridge between your customers and your shareholders. That means you cannot make one party happy. It is your duty to make two parties happy. Happy in terms of profit, not in terms of just smiling and shaking hands, etc. It is very important that they should make a profit at the end of the day. That's the reason it is called P&L, profit and loss. And everybody has, I'm sure the principals who's sitting here, their shareholders might be expecting profit from their college. That means his job is to make profit at the end of the day, year over year growth. They have to show. And then only their shareholders will keep you on the job, or maybe they will keep that college for the reinvestment for adding new uh, branches or something else. More or less, that is how the business work. But now you think that, hey, why are you telling me? Because we are talking about cloud services. Look, if the customer wants to invest in your company or invest in any Microsoft or any sort of business, they really need to see whether you have enough skills, knowledge, enough investment from your shareholders so that you can support our application or our business across the globe. Are you making profit for your shareholders or yourself? That means tomorrow we don't want, even if you are taking our services and you are managing our solutions or even applications, can you continue doing that services for the period of 3 to 5 years? That is, our contract has been signed. That's the reason it is very important to understand this thing. And the cloud is just a small puzzle into the equation, because the businesses cloud is just a small focus, but the application, which my core business, whether energy application, where banking application, or some retail application, that is my core businesses. But obviously the cloud is a tool. On top of that, my applications are sitting. That is where I need to focus on. I hope this is clear. So understand, very important part is a customer, because as I said, there is no customer, there is no use of your solution. The investor's money is also equally not important. So focus on customer from today. And maybe now we are talking about the college. You need to understand, students are your customers. If there is no student, there's no value of you as a professors or college or something else. So we need to be really respect. We really need to uh, give the excellent service. So if you look at as a customers, it is very important that you understand what really they want. They come to the college, they say, hey, we have to complete the Bachelor of Engineering or Master of Engineering or PhD, whatever program you are offering. But you really need to look at, hey, first take their feedback, understand what they really looking out of the program. what they want to be at the end of the year. The entrepreneurs, the engineers are successful. If somebody is not speaking, please mute. And then it is very important. It's not about adding knowledge to them. It is adding impact is matters. The bigger the impact, the bigger the customer service, and that customer service should be excellent. If you are not offering an excellent service, then basically that impact will be lesser. You're just adding the data knowledge, but you're not adding impact in their life or career. And this is very important. If you're a customer centric person, I'm sure you will be a fantastic leader and fantastic entrepreneur. So without further ado, I would like to start the cloud itself. Like obviously this is the programming technology side, but it is very important also understand. Nobody tell you, like, because some of the students who might be in the program, they might think, hey, tomorrow I'll be hiring by X company, maybe TCS, Infosys, or Wipro, whatever you call it, and they will be working on solving small technical issues, maybe some Java codes. They are understanding, hey, where is the bug and how can fix the bug. That is a small things to do. But understanding, hey, what exactly customer is looking for, why I have to solve this problem, and if I solve this problem, how many customers, how many not only customers but territory I'm going to solve the issue with, what is the financial impact is going to be. And that is what the focus needs to be there towards understanding the whole ecosystem. So let's focus on cloud now. So cloud is changing the game. That means, as madam says, like, cloud is not just a buzzword, it is equally a fundamental piece of your application. Because if there is no cloud, you cannot scale, you cannot add the performance, you cannot, if there is a fallback, you cannot revert back easily, or you cannot replicate from one end to another. It is very important the cloud is your foundation, and you have to build anything on top of cloud. Then you are still in the business and you can sustain in the business. If you're not in the cloud, there's a chances that you will be out of a business sooner or later. So if you look at not only AT, now the numbers are growing because data and AI. Now if you look at machine learning, everything is popping up. So importantly, you need to collect the data, you need to process that data. You have to sometimes do an ETL process and get the outcome. The outcome may be in the dashboard for the CEOs, or maybe some statistics about customer data, how many customers are impacting with that, how much customers are really happy with that. So all data needs to be collected in the right time so that we can create a right impact in our business or shareholders. If you look at a lot of companies, as I said, they're already in the cloud, but their data slowly they're migrate from on-prem to off-prem. Off-prem is cloud, on-prem is a customer data center. And a lot of workloads, maybe SAP application, Oracle application, name it. Slowly they are migrating their applications. The first data needs to be migrated, then only application will be easily migrated, because the application fetch the local data in read-write fashion. So it is very important that the data must be available first, then the application built in the cloud. And like I said, these numbers I'm putting because it is also equally important to understand what is the growth model of the cloud, because these big numbers in billions might be doubling every year because the customers and even the partners are together, they're investing more in cloud than more on-prem. And this number is equally important to understand why cloud is so important for you. Now we know like why cloud is important, but it's, as I said, it is very important for us to understand the basic, why we are moving to cloud, how the cloud adoption started. So if you look at in the past, like 1960s and even the back, there was IBM mainframe, very the giant machines like a refrigerator sort of. And still there are processing, and there are, if you look at, there are a number of aviation customers, they still have mainframe. And we are supporting, as Microsoft is supporting, AWS is supporting, everybody is supporting still their mainframe applications. But the biggest challenge where there is they're robust, very hard to replace. Then in 1980s, we I think we had like personal computers where we were running DDoS application, and the DDoS were doing a lot of commands by typing, cd dash dash or some other sort of command lines. But there was revolution happened from so big computers to the small. Now everything is wireless, right? We are moving to a mobile, and now God knows the laptop will disappear soon. If you look at Europe and US, we started utilizing like a small Microsoft Surface, which is like an iPad, and but if you attach a keyboard, you don't need to basically carry your laptops. You can carry everything behind the scene. But eventually it is very important to look at how the revolution happened within last 30-40 years. Is now everything what we are doing is not only the SaaS and IaaS, but further development into the cloud computing itself. Because if you look at 1980, as I said, uh, the personal computer came, there was clusters because we were putting everything into the giant clusters like hub and switch and everything, and making sure that they're part of the same domain, and we were transferring. But there was security was lacking. We cannot expand from multiple LAN to WAN kind of infrastructure. But slowly the revolution happened. Now we are from 2007 onwards, we are completely to the cloud. And now, if you look at the 2005, where they initially came with software as a service, platform service, and infrastructure service, which was unsuccessful. Now everything is successful, and every companies like Microsoft and AWS, they're offering more on software as a service solution because you can easily consume rather than focusing on building application. And if you look at those providers like AWS, Azure, GCP, they are focusing on those three services mainly: the SaaS, the PaaS, and IaaS. And obviously, I'll come to that, like why infrastructure as a service is very important as of today, migrating from on-prem cloud to the IaaS, and then slowly they're moving towards SaaS. We'll go through that journey now. So again, the cloud is a buzzword initially, but now it is a reality. But what is the difference between a cloud and data center? A lot of people are still calling it there's a customer data center, um, and cloud is also a data center, which is you have your own data center where there are racks, there are servers, there are switches, there are routers, there are firewalls. Cloud is nothing but the same. But how that different between your data center and the pro like cloud providers data center, which is AWS in this case? We'll touch to that right now. But before we go to the data center and putting the servers, first need to understand what is mean by a server. And I'm sure you everybody's understand what is a server is. A server is nothing but a physical box. And in the physical box, you generally uh, in the physical box you have, obviously you have the CPU, the memory, the disk, and the network cards, so and the fans, and some of the airflows basically, where the air can come in and go out. That kind of hardware situation has been there, and this is in reality not only just in the local data center, but also in AWS or a GCP or any other data center. The only couple of things have been changed, which I will touch in a couple of minutes. But if you look at, there are four important parameters which really need to have for any application to run: is the CPU, which is a brain of a computer, where the motherboard, then the memory, where it's a short-term, let's say short-term storage, but like we call RAM generally. Sometimes memory is very important for database application, because database applications are very performance oriented, so memory really works there. Disk, which is a long-term storage, because once you move, even if you want to move your data from memory to the disk basically, like in we are very used to like hard disk drive and etc, C drive, D drive, we generally used to call. And that is where we really need to place our data permanently. And the network cards, which are very important nowadays. There is no 10 Mbps ports or 100 Mbps ports. There are like 100 Gbps ports. If you look at VMware kind of company, they are coming 4 times 25 gig, which is 100 gig interface to individual server. That means the data is popping more and more, which need to be also flow over the internet or towards the network. You really need to have the bigger interfaces. And what generally it happens is basically this server is part of your network, maybe in the cloud or on-prem, and the users, maybe the users from the laptop, the thin client, thick client, whatever you called it, they basically wants to access that application over the internet, and how that particular server really need to serve the request coming from the end user. I think somebody unmute. Is there any question so far? Any something is not clear? I take it as a no. So it is very important that these customers or even the end clients, they really need to have the access, which must be secure first, but also very important that the application is or should be highly performant, because they do not want any latency or the application is not opening, or there is a timeout error. You do not want to have it, because your customers are very important in your business. Um, another basic need to understand people, because why I'm telling this, if you really want to understand the cloud, you first need to understand a few things like the server. What is the server? What is the EC2 instances? But or some in a Azure they call virtual machine. Understand like, hey, how the physical server is different with the virtual machine with container. So it is really important to understand, as I said again, physical server, which is a physical hardware, which exactly remain the same in case of virtualization, in case of container. The hardware is not changing, because this is x86, which is Intel based hardware. That is not going to disappear. This hardware will remain same in every data center, no matter whether it's your own data center or in Amazon data center or Microsoft data center. The hardware will remain same. The inside like things on the top of the motherboard, that will eventually gonna change. And how that changes like that, for example, if you look at your physical hardware, generally you have your hardware with operating system, storage, disk, etc., and then you build application on top. But if you have one physical server, you build only one application. So if you have 10 application, you need 10 physical server. But what is the problem with that physical server if you have 10 different machines to install? If you look at, you need to purchase 10 physical boxes. You need to have 10 cables, 20 cables, because there are two ports. 20 cable needs to connect to 20 different ports to the switches. You need separate power, you need separate cooling. That means you are adding cost. Plus, you need to manage 10 different servers separately. There might be a fallback, so you need another data center to build where you have redundancy to build. That becomes nightmare, right? To avoid uh, basically the investment, but also the amount of work you need to basically do behind this managing 10 servers. There are companies like VMware, Nutanix, where I used to work, and Microsoft Hyper-V, and there are some other hypervisor companies. They said, hey, you know what? Let's do one thing. You had an infrastructure and application sitting on top. What I can do is I can bring the hypervisor in between, and on top of that hypervisor you can build 64 different application on the same hardware. So on the same physical server you can build 64 application or 64 separate application, and the 64 applications may be 64 different customer, because one application for one customer. Likewise, you can build 64 new customers on the same hardware. That means you are saving the enormous cost plus managing that particular server, because now you used to build one application, now you are building 64 application. How you do that? You have the same hardware, you have the base operating system. On top of that you have, let's assume that Microsoft or a VMware or Nutanix hypervisor. Then you take any guest operating system, maybe Windows here, Linux here, Ubuntu here, or some other operating system, and you start building application. That was a wow job, because a lot of customers saved a lot of money But again, what has been added, the knowledge of hypervisor and how to manage that particular operating system differently, that really needs to be learned. Again, you need to reinvest into the knowledge, and then you need to migrate from the legacy physical boxes to the virtualization. Again, it was a new revolution for 10 years between 2000 to 2010. Everybody was moving to the virtualization, etc. Now, since this is also a challenge, because if you look at, now we are building 64 applications or 64 customers on the same physical box. The biggest challenge where was the hypervisor cost, because the hypervisor cost per customer was almost 1 million. And then if you have bunch of hypervisors and also your multiple data centers, you are building huge amount of cost. It's not about the cost, but also operating system cost. Plus, if you reboot your virtual machine, it takes couple of minutes to wait until that application comes back again, because customer cannot wait for a minute. They will simply run from Flipkart to Amazon.com if they really want to purchase something, and you cannot let them wait for 1 or 2 minutes because they're hungry customers. Some customer might be traveling to some airport from one end to another, and they want to buy before they land to so basically jump into the plane. You do not want to lose the customers. That means they cannot wait for 1 or 2 minutes of rebooting time. So what happened? Then the container has popped up. They said, hey, you know what? Why do we need a hypervisor? Let's replace that hypervisor with a container engine, and the container engine may be Docker or some other Mesos or Rancher, etc. And I don't need to put that 1 million cost behind the hypervisor. I simply go to the docker.com or some other providers and get my container engine. And with that container engine, I really do not need to purchase any guest operating system, whether Windows or another, plus their licenses. I simply don't need at all. So what container has done, container has replaced hypervisor and guest operating system into the container engineering based on the one operating system itself. And then they started building an application top that is lightweight. You do not want to wait for 1 minute to reboot. The container can be easily wiped out and easily built within a fraction of seconds. And these are the revolution happened in the industry actually. And if you look at now, majority of the customers are transferring those on the container based than physical or virtual. And this revolution is happening now. If you look at majority of the customers, they are like containers, Kubernetes, which is a container orchestration system, which is a free tool offered by Google. Um, and we will touch more later on this one. This is just the fundamental basics which you really need to understand. So any question on this very important topic? If this is not clear, then I think moving for a couple of days will be difficult. So any questions? I'll take a pause to listen to your question if you have. No question. I assume that you are clear now. The only difference you see that right here is hypervisor, which is a mediator between your application to other application. So how it happens? If application A, let's assume that you have your own physical box and you're running your own n number of applications, but application A wants to talk to application B, to it will go from the hypervisor and it will talk. So hypervisor will, you have to make virtual, everything is virtual, because virtual means everything is virtual. This is only the physical box, but internally everything is virtual. The virtual network card, even what the another beauty of hypervisor is, if application need one CPU, 1 gigabyte of memory, or 2 gigabyte of your storage, hypervisor basically take the pool of storage or pool of memory or CPU and allocate to that application. If the application has been shut down, that memory, CPU, and the data will be automatically released, and he has free availability of the those things, CPU, memory, and storage, and he might can add on to another application which might be having some trouble with performance, so he can allocate more memory, more CPU, and he can rebuild that application back again. So that is a beauty back then, but again the cost was the issue, the manageability was issue. And importantly, if you really want to put your guest operating system, you need 1 GB of extra storage, because operating system also needs some space. But if you look at here, there is no space required. That means you are saving the storage cost also, right? Those are the fundamental things you really need to understand behind the scene of how the transition happened over the last 20, 30 years. Now, once you understand the cloud, like physical, virtual, now every cloud provider has virtual machines, which we call EC2 installed in AWS, and virtual machine itself in Azure. But they have three things are already available. So if a customer who wants a full dedicated server, they can offer complete hardware. If they do not want physical hardware, complete physical hardware, but they want small piece of that hardware, like one application I want to build on operating system, what they do is they use hypervisor system. They have it. It's not like it is disappeared. Every cloud provider has three flavor of um, offerings, and I will show you when I go to the calculator. They call AWS pricing calculator, and then you will understand, if you take a physical server, how the cost is rising up versus taking a small pie of that piece. Your cost will be negligible. Okay, so now back to AWS again. The fundamental is over. I hope you understand what is physical server, how physical to virtual, virtual to container can help you out. The biggest advantage, maybe I forgot to mention on the container, is because they're lightweight. Lightweight means obviously you don't need to carry the operating system, you don't need to carry the disk. They become very light to the application. The important thing, another thing, is you don't need to go to hypervisor every back and forth. It is local to that particular physical, I would say physical server, because it is a common operating system. The reason there is no like hairpin here, it is like common operating system beneath, and the communication is seamless. Obviously the security is very important, because even if this container is from a different customer, there is a internal security, and that internal security will touch in day 3 and 4, I think, when there is a container topic, how that internal security will take care, like security groups into the Azure AWS, something like that. We will talk on the day 3 or 4 when we touch the container. Now back to the Amazon Web Services, which is, I would say, the first cloud provider who transformed themselves from a book selling company towards, let's say, cloud-based company. Because as you know, that Jeff Bezos, who's the founder of Amazon, who started Amazon as a book selling company, right? They were selling the books, and while they're selling the books, he figured out, hey, how can I sell the book online? Where he opened the retail Amazon.com, and eventually they have a couple of data center across the globe. And when the customers were um, asking for sending that book from one end to another, they figured it
काल
out,
मला
hey,
दिसलं अरे ऑनलाईन अधून मधून बघत असतो मी आज
um, he figured out, hey, I have data centers, and that data centers are consuming a lot of money and a lot of efforts. Why can't we build our own data centers, but also make sure that they are data center in a way that we can operate dynamically? And that is where they really started first, initially consume cloud as a service for their own retail service. And they've become very successful. They understand, hey, why can't we create this as a service to the rest of the customer? And look, now they become very popular company. They are making billions of profit every year. And the point I'm making is, you can understand, just selling the books, they figure it out. They can create a lot of innovation on internal patents, and create as a service to rest of the world. And that is what Amazon become very successful. And now if you look at, they are offering even video as a demand service, or they're even competing Netflix with Amazon Prime. So many services have been popped up. So again, before we move to the cloud, cloud based, some basic need to be understood. And that this basic is also applicable to Azure from day two, which is tomorrow onwards. So we need to look at like what is the basic between a data center and a cloud data center, your own data center, cloud data center. So obviously you can imagine, you might have seen also in many places, maybe your, I think Amazon Web Services cloud itself is next to Iroli, I believe so. So if you look at, this is your own data center, right? If assume that this is your own data center, your own building, and it is protected, it is secure physically, and you have racks in it. You have racks. What happened? So you inside the cloud, you have the racks, and the racks holding number of servers, switches, the firewalls, name it. But if you look at these other racks, they are not having the common structure. This rack looks different than this. Uh, Now it is very difficult to figure out where is what, which application setting where. The cabling is not done properly. Every cabling model is different. So this is, they call traditional data center, which is your own data center. Of course, the good thing about that own data center is you have your own control of your application. You have own control of your systems and entire, let's say, building, where you have your own autonomy. I'll come to that on the cloud, some of the differences, benefit, and why cloud is more beneficial than your own data center. Um, these racks is nothing but what they do is they have bunch of servers, right? The servers can be anything, whether it's a mobile server, web server, you called it nowadays. Um, you have application server, maybe application is SAP, Oracle, or blockchain application, name it. There are some file transfer servers are there, proxy servers which allow you to go to the internet with a minimal number of IP addresses. So generally your data center is full of servers, network, storage, bunch of security devices, etc., etc. And this is called on-premise. On-premise means your own data center, or maybe even not your own, but you rented from someone. But and in that rented data center, you have own racks. So on-premise traditional, it is nothing but your own data center, where you manage your own application and you're completely, or a complete, let's say, autonomy on your own things. You can take decision, you can have control. Obviously when you cloud, there's a different thing. You do not have the complete autonomy because it will be share model where you manage something, they manage something. I'll show you what exactly that means. Now the problem with the customer data center, as I said, there are pros and cons of everything, right? Because some of them are already told. If you look at, it is expensive. Why expensive? You have buy this first. You need, if it is not yours, you need to lease for a couple of years. There is a lease contract for 3 to 5 years. Let's assume that because you are investing racks and servers, that means you need to rent the data center minimum 5 and maximum 10 years. So you first lease that contract. Once you lease, you need to purchase the racks, you need to purchase the servers, you need to purchase the cable, the cooling, the power from different power providers, because if the one service provider is unavailable, you need to have the second service provider who can offer you the power, because there is a power, there is application, and there is application, there is a service. So you need to be sure that you need to purchase everything upfront from your own pocket. That is called capex. I'll touch the whiteboard and then you understand the financial part. The second important thing is no agility. No agility means what? Let's assume that now your racks are full of um, servers, and the servers are full applications. Now you need another application to add on. That means you need to add new servers. You is a data center procedure. If the device comes, it need to be validated. Then somebody need to install into the rack. that takes couple of days. Maybe some guys from server team, they have to install the operating system, the patches, the application, and then somebody needs to configure the network, somebody configured the firewall to open the ports from one end to another. That takes 3 to 4 weeks time frame. Can the customer wait for that long? Probably not. The third important thing is it's not scalable because this data center is only available in Mumbai. Let's assume that tomorrow. But can you wait for 3 months? Do you think customer will wait for 3 months to build that data center? Probably not. So you cannot scale your application. You cannot scale your data center. So probably they will not wait. The another problem is multiple vendors. What is that meaning? Again, back to the rack. So if you look at the servers, maybe from Dell or Intel, maybe the firewalls from Palo Alto or Cisco firewalls. Maybe the application vendor is SAP, Oracle, different. What is my point is you have different providers. When there is a problem, you need to contact multiple vendors at the same time because you are not sure which device has a problem physically as well as some software bugs. So you need to involve in everything. If there is a problem, there is a priority number one ticket is raised. For the raise ticket, you have to ask everyone to join the call. That means it is multiple issues, right? Plus, because you're buying from multiple vendors, the purchase orders are different, the SLAs are different, service level agreements are different. So you can imagine there are so many. That's the reason I put into the red boxes where there's so many problems, right? And even if there is a problem, the faces of everyone is red because nobody's happy, right? At the end of the day, if there is a problem. Now, if you look at over the period, it becomes spaghetti because the data center are messed. If you're expanding, there are a lot of issues. You feel like, hey, my goodness, what we are doing if there is a problem? What if look assume that if engineer has not properly configured the cables and they're lying, and if you want to figure it out, the cable is broken, server is broken, how you figure out where exactly this cable is going from one end to another? So many issues, so many problems. And that is the reason customer data center is not a great solution offering. So building an application on top of that, because application is just application, but that needs physical hardware, need network connectivity, needs security with firewalls and some other things. And it needs to be neat, clean, and well connected. If not, you are in trouble when there is an issue. So that's the reason. That's one of the reason is why cloud is so popular, because first of all, there is no capex, there is opex only. Now let me touch to the whiteboard and I'll try to explain what is capex and opex. Can you see my screen again back? Somebody needs to answer. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's
Okay.
visible.
Okay. So if you look at capex, probably my handwriting is not good, but I hope you understand. The capex is nothing but an initial investment. Initial investment, that means you have to put initial investment from your own pocket. That means you need to, as I said, you need to purchase device, right? You purchase racks, servers, etc. You need to purchase the licensing for the devices, maybe operating system and some application licensing, etc. Plus, you need to purchase, if let's say 3 to 5 years, if the device has broken, you need to repurchase those devices. So repurchase is there, and that is called upfront cost. In reality, they called upfront cost. Upfront means what? You need to pay in advance before the device come to your data center. You have to pay like you purchase something on Flipkart. That means you make a payment. Once the payment is done, then only that order has been created with number, and then they start shipping to you. That means that cost you need to first pay from your own pocket, and that is nothing but a capital investment. I hope that this is clear. The another fundamental is called OPEX. OPEX is operational expense. EX is expense, CAP is capital, OP is operational. And OPEX is nothing but a let's in finance we called variable cost. Just simple an example. If you have electricity, if you keep one bulb on, you get minimum bulb, a minimum um, bill. If you are running 100 bulbs on, you get 100 times more bill, right? Exactly the same thing. You can imagine here, this variable cost is nothing but if you are using more devices, you need more cooling. If you have more devices, you need more electricity. So there is electricity cost. Because there are people who's working in your company, maybe server engineer, software engineer, database engineer, etc. Their salary needs to be paid, right? They're not working for free. Their salaries is part of the operational expenses. Plus this licensing cost over the period, if becomes supportable for 3 years, they need to repurchase in between, but they're not repurchasing, they're renewing contracts that might come into the operational cost also. So licensing might come here. So this cost is nothing but operational cost actually, right? So now what is my point is, when you want to buy your own, or let's say you want to build your own data center, you need capex plus opex, which is called TCO, total cost of ownership. But the biggest problem is you need to have millions of money in your own pocket before you start building your data center, before you start building your application on top of it. But when we call cloud, the cloud is nothing but only OPEX, because you're not buying any of the devices. You're not basically you're not purchasing a lease, you're not purchasing any equipment, you're not purchasing any licenses, you're not worried about n number of vendors, because there is no capex, because cloud is already built by AWS, Azure, and GCP and everything. So capex is not in the equation when you go to the cloud. What you basically focus is on OPEX. Just take an example of Uber or Ola, for example. For example, if you want to go from your home to the college, it is an hour journey. You do not need to purchase your car. Obviously, if you purchase car, it becomes capex, because you have to purchase money from, you have to put your money from pocket. But with Ola and Uber, you're not purchasing car. That means capex is gone. You OPEX. That means you pay for what you use. If you use for an hour, and whatever the cost for that Ola, you pay like 500 rupees, and then your relation with the driver is done. So what it comes with, you get a car, you get a free driver, you get air conditioning in that 1 hour. And what does that mean is basically you utilize that material, car, driver, and the air conditioning for an hour, and that is the variable cost. The longer distance you go, the more money you have to pay. The shorter distance you go, the less money you have to pay. That is a variable cost. That is nothing but operational cost. That is, in the cloud term, they called pay as you go model. That means the more you use, the more you pay. The less you use, the less you pay. I hope this is clear. And that is the reason cloud is nothing but more OPEX. So if you look why I said it is more expensive, because CAPEX to OPEX, in the cloud, there is only OPEX. There is no capital included, because the clouds or the data centers built by the cloud providers, they put their own money, they make everything available for us. And we only consume the applications for the use, maybe 1 week, one way. If there are conferences, they take 1 week, a couple of servers, they build their application, they showcase. When the conference is over, they shut the machines and the billing is stopped. I hope this is clear. Now, in reality, people might be thinking, hey, Amar, you told me about the data center, some pros and cons about the data center. But then what is different between the cloud and your own data center? Actually, if you look at the example I give you, Ola or Uber, is nothing but you are renting someone's computer, right? It is not your computer, it is someone's computer, because car is not yours. The car is maybe the driver who's owning the car, or maybe the driver also a driver for other owner. But basically for you, that's not your car. You're basically renting someone's car or renting someone's computer. Probably, like back then, 20 years back, 30 years back, we used to go to the cyber cafe for the internet surfing. That internet surfing, we used to pay for 1 hour X amount of money. That is the same fundamental here also in the cloud. You take the you basically virtual machine, build your application for X amount time, and you only pay for the time you utilize that particular service. And that is the reason it is called someone's computer. That means someone's data center, someone's your application, but someone's physical hardware. And that cloud computing comes with so many things, like they offer service servers, they offer some softwares like IoT services or something. They already have the storage where you put your data, and you put the storage, basically you pay the service storage cost. So the CPU, the memory, the storage, the network, whatever you utilize, you pay for that utilization. If you're using that service for week, you only pay for week. If you are discontinuing with that service, your billing will automatically stop. You don't need to pay further than a week. Yeah, that is basically the equation has been changed, and cloud becomes so popular and so good for a business model, because um, don't need to put my upfront cost. And this is very important for the founding companies. If there are small startup, let's say tomorrow the students want to be an entrepreneur, and they have some ideas, they have some um, concept, and they want, hey, this concept needs to be my new patent, a new patent, new be a new reality, new service, and that service needs to be offered to my B2C, business to consumer, or business to business, maybe corporates. They want to offer, they can start this, they can utilize this concept very easily, because they have less money in their pocket, but their ideas need to flourish. And if they think, hey, this is a good service where I can go and talk to a bunch of venture capital who can invest in my business, they can then expand that particular cloud computing services more across the globe and offer as a service. Like Netflix has completely broke the business of Blockbuster, who's selling this DVDs and CDs, because everything is online now. People don't need to worry about buying the CDs and DVDs and returning them back every 1 week or so. You can watch everything on demand, no matter you are in theater or you are in home or everything, or you're traveling from trains. You can still watch that particular series, movies without any trouble. You can watch IPL matches, World Cup matches on Hotstar or Disney based on the cloud services. So these are the things are really popping up. The end users who's utilizing the service, they really want. The important thing is, for example, if we were watching the World Cup matches in November, we really do not want to miss one single ball playing by Virat Kohli, because he's making his 50, 100, etc., etc. That means the availability of application and the performance of the application is very critical to the business. And it is cloud provider duty to provide that availability and performance, because you're using that Hotstar or Disney application to watch that particular streaming application or streaming match actually. Um, some of the example, as I already said, the Uber, the Ola, and Airbnb, these are the top-notch customers. They're already on AWS cloud. Some top-notch customer also on Microsoft, and some are Oracle applications or Oracle servers. This application on Oracle Cloud. Alibaba is so popular in Asia Pac. There is no competition to Alibaba Cloud in APAC region, because if you look at the statistics, Alibaba Cloud holding 40% market share in Asia Pac. So literally there is no competition for Alibaba in the APAC region. They are really popular into that particular territory. So why Uber and Ola? Uber, actually, Uber had even Netflix, for example, they had hundreds of data center in the past and they were building. They figure it out that, hey, we were burning so much of cost and so much of salaries to the employees. Why can't we move to the cloud and reduce that operating cost and also the capex, and basically utilize into the new services and make our businesses more popular for rest of the users. And that's where the companies have changed the business model. Airbnb, the same thing. You just go to the application, book your own hotel or your home room wherever you want to go, and then immediately it become booked and you get your service back. So it's like a virtual hotel in reality. um, Now we talk about some of the application. We talk about what is the customer data center and why cloud is so important for customers, because no capex, only opex. But then how the public cloud look like? What, why public cloud is so popular, and what are the immediate advantages of the public cloud? If you look at, I will walk you through the global infrastructure of AWS, but just for your example, just to understand here, if you look at the data center, I was talking one data center of, we were having one data center in Mumbai, and if a customer asks me the another data center in America, that might takes year or more than a year to build it. And if your application or customer is spread across the world, you cannot simply build a data center in every part of the world. It is almost impossible. So that's the reason this Amazon Web Services or Google or Microsoft, those companies, what they did is they built all the data center across the globe. Wherever their majority of the customers and demanding customers, they started building the data centers all over the world. And the data center means there is not only one data center, there are multiple data center into region. So let's assume that why I put Mumbai here. There are two regions into India itself, is one in Mumbai and another in Hyderabad. And if you look at Mumbai, they have a couple of data centers. If you look at availability zone, that means basically there are 3 data centers into one region. And why 3 data center? If one data center is fall down, maybe the power cut, or maybe there is a flood, or maybe there is a flight land on the data center, the other data center should be up and running to serve the application, serve the business actually. So that's the reason they have created bunch of data center all over the world, and they called regions. So Mumbai is one region, and they have 3 data centers, which is they call 3 availability zones. And obviously one availability zones has come multiple data centers, but they called zone. But I'll show you what is that mean is. So if you look at how the data center look like, so if you look at here, just an example, if you look at Mumbai, they have created in 2016 where the 3 availability zones are. So nothing but 2 separated the buildings. There might be another building like 5-10 kilometers apart, which covers the flood or some damages here in data center to basically take over as a primary failover to the secondary and serve the business. But in the reality, it's not your data center, is their data center. You don't need to purchase anything, they already purchased for you. You just build your application on their existing infrastructure. And how that their infrastructure look like is this sort of situation. Similar rack, you don't even notice like the color has changed or the cabling has changed. Everything is the same cable, the structure same, exactly the same. There is no cabling issues, no let's say not similar kind of thing. Everything is similar, right? The data center, so what they're generally doing is they're building one rack next to each other. They're expanding, they're scaling basically their infrastructure within their data center. They're adding rack. So this engineer is basically configuring the one rack which is exactly the same as other. The only difference is obviously their tag numbers, their the inventory systems, they are different, but the physical structure is remain the same. And even if you're building application here and another application sitting here and third application might be sitting in same rack but in different data center, customer do not know exactly where the application on which rack number, because that's is completely hidden to us. We only know that our application in AWS we are building in Mumbai region. That's all we know. we really don't know what's happening behind the scene. Now, if you look at, as I said, this is on-premise data center. You build number of servers in the rack. What you do in eventually in customer like AWS data center or regions is bunch of virtual machines. These servers which are here, you just simply see like this EC2 instances, EC2 instances. You don't even see with the racks and the physical server. You only see the EC2 instances or maybe virtual machines in Azure. And what is the advantage this is, because if you look at here, this is the first tag I add. Generally I don't add the text, but you really need to understand, because this particular virtual machines, they you can create in minute and maybe less than minute. When I create a virtual machine, maybe next 10-15 minutes, you will understand how easy to create a virtual machine in a couple of minutes. As I already told you, cloud is only OpEx. So you only pay for what you use, or you only pay for what amount of time you use. You don't need to pay extra if you're not utilizing. If you terminate, then billing is immediately stopped. Shut down when not needed, because as I said, if you're not utilizing your server, you simply shut it down. Otherwise, it will every hour you have to pay the cost, which is not good to your business. Behind the scene, as I said, every server, when there is a new Windows operating system or a patch or version or something you need to change, if there is a downtime, and it is not done automatically. You have to take the downtime, you have to plan an activity. If the down planned activity is not successful, you have to revert it back. You have to inform to the customer will have some escalation here and there. That is not the case in terms of cloud, because there are redundancies already built, as I said, to the data center. So if you are changing one rack, there is no impact on other rack, because other rack, the server is already available, so that's serving to the business. If this rack is migrated, you divert those customers to this rack, for example, in the Azure, and then that rack you can start migrating or maybe patching, or if you have some OS upgrade or application upgrade, you can do that. That is the beauty of public cloud actually. Now you might be thinking, okay, sorry, before I go to the types of cloud, I really want to walk you through the infrastructure. So I put already couple of oh, sorry, global. I forgot global infrastructure. One second. By the time, if you have any question in between, please do ask me.
Hello. Sir, am I
Hello, any
audible?
question? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sir, I just wanted to inquire about like the customers. For example, there's a Hotstar or Netflix people, those who are aptly deploying their application. Now, how do they manage their customers? Like even for the customer, also again it is pay as you go by. Means if you are utilizing the service of a Hotstar or Netflix, you also are entire database of such huge number of customers.
No,
Do they
it's
again use the topics?
what they use.
Do they use means to manage the database of huge number of customers, since they are deploying their applications like Hotstar and Netflix? But from the customer's point of view, he just joins and utilizes the service. The moment he stops paying, the services are stopped. So how does these applications who are deploying like Hotstar, Netflix, and once they stop this particular paying, still the entire huge amount of customers database records. How do these people manage?
Correct, correct. No, this is good. It's a really great question. So if you look at now, right, for Amazon, just take a Netflix as an example. Netflix or Hotstar, whatever, is the same service they're offering. Just assume that Netflix for just like example, our Netflix is sitting on top of AWS, right? Their application they're building all over the world. Like if you look at here, and Netflix has utilized all the data centers across the globe because their customers are all over the world, right? they are still paying to the AWS. They're not worried about, let's say you as a user who are utilizing Netflix, and maybe after end of the January you close your account and you disappeared. Obviously, when you sign in, you get a subscription fee. You and monthly they charge you maybe $10 or something. And maybe if you are buying new release movie, which maybe then still did not add into Netflix, but they want to allow you to see by paying X amount of money, maybe $5, for example. Now, to answer your question in precise way, they are not terminating their own services in Azure. They're terminating you as a user because you do not want Netflix to use. You want to move from Netflix to Hotstar. So what they do, they remove the data. Obviously, once you close the account, they will be notified. They will remove your access from their own network. Because how it happens in reality, let me draw some drawing for you. We'll understand clearly. Maybe I'll take the next page, or maybe I can move. Okay. Let's assume that this is my net.
Sir, your screen is not visible.
Pardon?
Screen is not visible.
Oh, really? Can you see my screen now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So let's assume that you have AWS data center. Let's take AWS India region, just for example. And on top of AWS India region, there's a Netflix here. Let's assume that a lady who asked me a question, she's sitting here over the internet and she's accessing the Netflix. Obviously, there is the CDN, the content delivery network, where let's assume that this is a new movie, let's say Animal as a movie, which is recently released and they added on Netflix, and you do not want to go and watch on the theater, but you want to watch on Netflix. Let's say you're the first user. What you do when you already have the subscription, right? You are paying monthly subscription, and there are n number of series and movies you can watch as long as the subscription is monthly paid. What they do generally here, there is a called generally in, for example, AWS has IAM, Identity and Access Management. I'm talking AWS now specifically because they are in AWS. So what happens when you, as a, let's say a lady name, I don't know the name, but just assume that you are X, they create account for you here. Because obviously you create your account because you federate your account with Google or any other. That account is federated, and basically they will see whether you want account for 1 year subscription, 2 year or lifetime, doesn't matter. You become an authorized user to get that access to that particular movie or content. Generally they call content because this CDN is generally content delivery network where the contents you are fetching. So as long as to answer precisely, as long as you are paying that subscription cost and to the Netflix, then you are basically pay-as-you-go model because you are not buying new release movies or new series for extra amount of cost. Netflix is not moving out of AWS. They still have their databases. They still have their web application server. They still have their own application server, because generally it is like in the database data center, there's a web application, there's application, and there's database. So you come over the internet, right? When you come, when you come over the internet, you first log into the Netflix because you have the username and password to add. That once you log in, it will go to the IAM to verify your account. Once the account is authenticated, authorized, you land to the application page where you see movies, your name. Maybe if there is multiple accounts, you shared accounts, you see Amar is here, my family member who's accessing Netflix. And then when you want to watch that particular X animal movie, it fetches from the database, which is the local database. That is how it works. But behind the scene, for you to pay, to answer your question, you only pay when there is a subscription. Netflix will still continue to pay to AWS because they are not running out of the business. They are not saying to AWS, hey, we are closing our database. We are completely wants to go out of you, and we don't want any services run on AWS. They still run, right? And they don't bother whether you and me and some other will go out. Their services are still running. You only stop because you don't want to use Netflix, you want to go to Hotstar. And in the Hotstar, exactly the same thing happens again. So that is how the customer, and they, Netflix makes money on you, right? If you have one subscription like that, they have 200 million customer multiplies $10, they make the revenue. And once they make the revenue, whatever the cost they are paying to AWS, they will minus it, and that becomes their profit. That's how their business model runs. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now, sorry. Now back to the global data center, global infrastructure. So, like I said, you have this is global map, right? And that global map where you have like North America, the Canada, the South America, Africa, Europe, Russia, China, India, Australia, and New Zealand, all this stuff where they, if you look at, they have, because their customers are all over the world. And why are they creating data centers? Because that customer, they want to have the application local to their, so data center local to their end users, and application wants to have the performance and availability. That's the reason they are building the data center all over the world. Also, very important parameter when you choose your data center or you choose your region for a customer, always understand the privacy rules, like Indian IT Act, for example, where you say, hey, my data, Indian data should reside only in India. In Europe, for example, there is a rule called GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. What does that mean is the European data should be reside in European data, European region. If you want to transfer the data to another, they need to be GDPR compliance. If not, they have to pay 4% of their entire valuation of a company, which is a huge penalty, huge cost to that particular business unit. US has a cloud act where cloud needs to reside in US itself. If there is a federal government customer like the Joe Biden, for example, is part of the US government where the federal business are running, they have their own government built data center by AWS or Azure or any other. They have their own data center but built by AWS and managed by AWS for them, where there is no connectivity to the rest of the world. So my point is how the global data centers, global architecture is built is and built you will see here on this map. So there is a aws.com/global infrastructure. If you go there, how they have built 33 regions. A region is nothing but a physical location. If you look at Mumbai is a physical location where there is a data center is built. So there are 33 regions, right? And each region with multiple availability zones. If you look at in the map which I've shown you, Mumbai has 3 availability zones. That means 3 data centers within that particular region. And if you look at the availability zones, not every region has 3 availability zones. Some regions have 2 availability zones. Minimum 2 should be there, because if one data center fail, you need to have the redundancy on other, because users who's coming and accessing the application, they don't exactly know where the server is, and it's none of their business, because I don't care where my Netflix server is inside. What I only care about, I really want to see the movie, and if the movie is available, somebody told me, I just need to go and watch it, right? That is my purpose as an end user. I don't care where the data center and application, what kind of application, that is none of my business as an end user. if you look at the 600 point of presence, the point of presence is nothing but, for example, if you look at here, just taken in Mumbai, the point of presence where majority times also there is a CDN service available. That means the caching. Because let's assume that I'm a user sitting in Mumbai and I want to watch a new Hollywood movie released in New York, for example. I want to watch it. For example, that Netflix has put that movie here, and in India that movie is 8 not available. But I'm the first subscriber, I'm the first customer. What I do basically, once I go to the net, because Netflix application everything seems equal, but when I start basically watching that movie, that content is being pushed next to that age means to the point of presence, and that movie is pushed to the next CDN service. They call CDN, content delivery network. And that once the movie is pushed here, you will basically watch that locally here rather than going back and forth, because going and back means the round trip latency will be too much and you will see the buffering in between, right? You're watching the movie, then it stopped, then you have to wait for the buffer, and then you watch again. That's a disturbance in the while watching the movie. You do not want disturbances, right? The performance of the application should be maximum. So that's the reason they put content or CDN next to the regions. That's the reason you will see that there are more presence of points across different regions, and they have 13 cache edge caches, basically the global edge cache. Now little bit, if you look at on the regions, which I just said Mumbai one of the regions. So if you go to region availability zone, there is, if you look at Mumbai comes under Asia Pacific. Yeah, if you look at under the Asia Pac, here you see the Mumbai, which is the available zones. And then if you go to the local zones again, you understand what is local zones. Where local zones is nothing but, as I said, AZ, availability zones, where you build an application, you build your services. And there are a bunch of availability zones in every region. Because if you look at Europe, for example, where Amsterdam is, I'm sitting. So if you look at, this is Paris, this is Germany, and this is Frankfurt. There is no Amsterdam because AWS, there is nothing in Amsterdam. For Azure, tomorrow I'll show you if there is an Amsterdam region. But for me as an Amsterdam, I have to basically build application in Frankfurt because Germany is very close to me. So whichever is the close data center, you have to build it. Because if your customer is in Netherlands, you don't want to build something in Ireland, because the time to take from here to there and come back, you are adding a lot of latency. Latency means the time to go and come back for responding will take time. So that's the reason whichever is the closest region, you have to take that into account while building your application or building an architecture. So likewise, every region has different, how to say, availability. So if you look at, some might be 2, everybody's 3. Let me check another region. You will notice it. Maybe in the Middle East there might be minimal. They're building smartly nowadays. But anyway, you understand, minimum 2 is there, maximum 3. I think AWS, and this some regions are coming up. They still haven't planned like how many are coming, how many they have built, every information, when they have built, when they have launched. This year, for example, in Israel, unfortunately there is a war going on, but they have launched new a region in the Middle East actually. And this is very unfortunate for them that there is a war going on, so nobody can basically take that utilization, but that investment is gone. If you go to another discussion, is the pricing model. When you build an application into the data center, the first thing is like how I can calculate my designing. So if you look at, there is a tool called AWS pricing calculator, where once you go to the tool, you basically need to create estimation, and you choose first which region you want to be. So let's say I took a region here, Mumbai, I already put it here. If you want, you can take different regions in different part of the world, like Hyderabad. I mentioned this Hyderabad region. You can take Hyderabad. If you are next to Hyderabad, if you're next to Mumbai, you take Mumbai, and then you start building application. Maybe let's say I want EC2 instance. Let's say EC2. If I want EC2, what I do, I choose that instance, configure it, and then you see again it will ask me what sort of model you want. Tenancy model. Oh, sorry. Did I EC2?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So there is one slight doubt regarding the zones which you just now explained. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to inquire, how does these zone exactly work? Suppose if there is a client sitting in America and he demands to view an episode of Indian television. So how are these zones going to interact with each other, and how is this going, this particular episode of an Indian television or Indian movie region be, telecasted on an American, because even though if suppose for example Sony or Netflix or any other cloud, now there will be customers on both the ends. Now, customer, you said since they have a GDPR and they have a data protection right, but still, if a particular client or a customer wants to view an Indian episode or an Indian television, some of the serials or some of the episodes, which is actually the Indian content, and he's sitting somewhere in Europe and America. So, how will these zones interact, and or what is the actually back end work of the cloud, and how do these things are just managed?
Yeah. So that's a great question. But like I said, maybe I'll make more precise example. So just first thing, when I say content or some information should not share, that is particular to the end user. Yeah. So let's assume that Amar is a person. Huh? For example, let's assume that GDPR, and maybe you can go on Wikipedia later if you want to. But sorry, my pen. Okay, end user. So let's say GDPR, that means general data protection. Let's assume that Amar is a person. Yeah. So it is important for a Netherlands or even any company dealing with me, maybe my details, personal details. That means my home address, my bank account number, my passport details, etc. This personal data, yeah, this personal data should not be shared anywhere outside the Europe unless I specify. Even my mobile number, let's say my mobile number X is here, I shared with you. Just assume that you are in India, but still I shared with you. And you shared that number without asking to me to your friend or someone. And tomorrow I can sue you that, hey, did you take my consent before sharing my number or details? Obviously, we generally don't do that for small things. But tomorrow, if I want to sue you, I can sue you because you shared my details without taking my consent. So probably if you're applying any job in Europe or America, any recruitment company will first ask you to sign the GDPR or Cloud Act or sort of consent, because they take your CV, they share to hiring company, because recruitment company is a mediator between you and the company who's hiring you. So what they take your data, they share to another. So basically they want to take your consent before sharing to, whether they're sharing to Europe or sharing to America, they want your consent first. That is called GDPR or cloud, IT cloud. This news and everything that is publicly broadcasted, etc., that is not to worry. That's one thing. Maybe I'll give you, this is one thing which answered one of your question, one of your, let's say 50% of your question. Now America and America and Asia, for example, let's assume that this is my America region, like, and this is my let's assume that India region. Oh, sorry, I'm trying my best to make a drawing, but hope it works. So, for example, every region has 3 availability zones. That means 3 data center. 1, 2, 3. Let's say Netflix application sitting here, hit here, here. Because if this data center is unavailable, you have 2 data center. And generally, why they put the 3 data center, just to go little bit on design note, is 50% capacity here, 50% here, 50% here. So let's assume that this data center is unavailable. You have 50, 50, 100. That means 100% capacity available to serve the business, right? That is how the design concept is. Now, again, back to your question, just to be sure on different regions, India also has the same thing. Maybe here Netflix is running, and maybe here Indian channel, maybe Doordarshan, DD1, DD2, whatever you call it. And America, maybe I'm in Europe, right? Forget about America, but let's say I'm watching, because I have another subscription company called Chitram TV, who holds the content of everyone from DD Network here, or maybe Hotstar here. I basically have subscription with Chitram TV, and Chitram TV gives me all the Indian channels. So I watch the same Aaj Tak, same TV9 Marathi, whatever you called it. All the news I watch it because Chitram TV holds all the contents like Netflix. The similar places, maybe there is no Chitram TV, but America they have maybe Hotstar in America. By the way, Hotstar also putting their content services in different part of the world. If there is no content services available, they cannot access, that user in America cannot access that Hotstar news or maybe DD news. So I hope I answered both of your question. And now that information, because now you are not holding the GDPR, the Hotstar is holding the content not to violate any user data. So your data is not, should not be violated by Hotstar to any other party in between. It should be only known between you and the Hotstar, your content details, where you X as a person coming, what is your detail, what is your account number, what is the credit card number, all that information should not be disclosed in US, nor Europe, nor India. Only thing what it should be known, not you, but the access should be known, that this content should be accessed by, this content should be accessed by this CDN service, and it should be populated you as end user. I hope now I answer your question
Yes,
in
sir.
a different
Yeah,
ways.
understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have only 18 minutes to touch to my lab. Let me do one thing. Sorry, my battery is running. Okay, so where I was here, right? Like I said, multiple data center, which is the multiple availability zones. Thank you for asking question, because I covered the architecture also. Now, if you look at some basic, let's go a little bit fast now. Cloud providers are offering different kind of or types of cloud computing, because, as I said, there are customers who's transitioning themselves from on-premise or their own data center to the cloud. That means they're not 100% migrating their application from their own data center to the cloud. They're keeping maybe database in their own data center, and the mobile or front-end application they're moving to the cloud. That means they're making hybrid. One is here, one is in cloud. So in that way, there are two types of cloud computing. One is private, which is your own data center, that is called private also. Public and hybrid. Hybrid means hybrid cloud is your own data center as a customer. Public cloud is either Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Oracle OCI, Google GCP, or Alibaba, name it. But if your application is sitting in both the cloud, your own data center and public cloud, that becomes hybrid. It's a combination of public and private. I hope that is clear. Also, there are service models. Service model means infrastructure as a service. That means you don't need to buy the servers. The AWS bought everything for you. That means that infrastructure is already bought for you. You just build an application and data on top of it. That is called infrastructure service. Platform as a service, what? You only manage application and data, the rest managed by the AWS. Software as a service, everything managed, everything, even application managed by AWS. You just consume the application. For example, um, you use maybe mails every day, like Office 365. That Office 365 is already a Microsoft mail tool where you exchange the mail, you read, write, send mails. That is already built. You don't need to worry at all. You just, the purpose is reading and writing and sending the emails. But application and everything is built and managed by Microsoft. That is called software as a service. So let's see, like there is a Nutanix where I used to work. That's the reason I put that Nutanix. So what we used to basically help customer building data centers with Nutanix solution. That means Nutanix has servers, which includes compute, network, storage, virtualization, even database. We offer everything to the end users to build their own data centers. But if the customer say, hey, I don't want to purchase Nutanix of hardware, which has a lot of problem today, tomorrow, because I need to buy the hardware, I need to maintain that hardware, I need to repurchase the licensing if the life cycle is over. Then I go to the public cloud, few applications. And if you use private and public combination, that becomes hybrid cloud. If you use application in multiple clouds, even if you have your on-prem, that is hybrid plus multi-cloud, because there are cloud more than two or two more than two is a multi-cloud. So maybe your web application sitting in AWS, maybe your application sitting in Azure, and your database might be sitting in an on-premise. That combination of on-prem and multiple cloud, that may be hybrid or multi-cloud scenario. And this is happening. This is happening. This is not like, hey, why do you need multiple cloud? Because not there is no one fit for all approach. There's nothing, as I said, there is nothing 100%. I'm not 100% perfect. I'm also a student like you. That's the reason I'm learning with you. Likewise, AWS also learning. Hey, we had a services, but there is no customer who's asking me for X services. They might have that X services from Google. So that's the reason they built on the Google, but they have the interface connected to AWS. That's a combination of two clouds. They become multi-cloud. As I said, there are service models, infrastructure, platform, and software. The cloud means what? You purchase everything. You purchase network, router switches. You purchase storage, like a disk. You purchase servers, which I showed you the Intel. You purchase virtualization from Hyper-V or VMware and Nutanix, operating system costs, middleware, etc. So all this you purchase and manage, that is on your data center. That is green part is you manage, you purchase, you manage. Here, not purchase, sorry, you manage. Obviously, purchase you have to do. In the cloud, you don't need to purchase, right? The cloud provider is purchased for you hardware. That's the reason the orange boxes is nothing but this, up to these boxes is purchased by AWS. When you migrate your applications to cloud, it's a good exercise not to move yourself from on-prem to the PaaS or directly to the SaaS, because you do not have the experience of the cloud, first thing. Second, because you already have some investment like operating system, which you do not want to go wasted. It's better you can take the licensing and push that licensing to the infrastructure service and still build the same model, middleware and application and data, and then you can reutilize your existing investment back in the cloud. So you save the cost in the first place. That's the reason customers generally move from on-prem to the infrastructure service, and then you still utilize their hardware, etc. When you are already in the cloud and you want to move and say, hey, I don't want to manage operating system and repurchase the licenses, and you don't want to manage my middleware in between. So what you do, you migrate yourself from infrastructure service to the platform where you only manage and focus on application data. That is your core business, and the rest you give hands to AWS. So they are expert in managing, they manage availability, performance, and if there is something wrong apart from application data, you can blame them, right? Hey guys, this is your problem, and if you are not solving this, you have the penalty. So you liable to they liable to pay more than you pay to the customers because unavailability. Now, obviously, you cannot move past to SaaS because then your business model will disappear if you're offering the application. You do not want because this application also built by and managed by AWS. So that is a separate application you need to consume. I hope this is clear for you. And nowadays, cloud providers are offering IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. And majority of the times, cloud providers are earning a lot of money into IaaS and PaaS. But if you look at, they offer hardware. Here they offer hardware plus managed services. That means they're earning a lot of money here, and their business model becomes more profitable. But from the customer point of view, you also making more benefit because you are not purchasing anything here. That's one plus point. Second, you can build the same model in all over the world, just copying, like you asked the question, the Netflix. You have the Netflix application, you copy that application and build in all the regions easily. And let me touch to the lab now quickly, because the lab is about um, and the second point is, because as I said, this is shared responsibility model, right? You manage something, they manage something. That is called shared responsibility model, which is you shared. They are not responsible, first of all, for your application, your data. Because cloud was initially not popular because they do not know where my data is residing, who's utilizing my data. That scariness was there initially. But that's the reason they got certifications like ISO certified, PCI certified, which is payment card industry. If your credit card, debit card, they are certified by that, so that your credit card or debit card information will not violate to any third party or any hackers or anyone. So they own that security. That's the reason that model become more popular, and now it is become more shared responsibility because they're not focusing and they're not even taking backup of your data. If your data is lost, it's your problem, not the AWS problem. But if the disk failed where the data resides, it's their problem. So that's the reason is it is a shared responsibility. You manage something, they manage something. Now let me walk you through the AWS console and maybe a lab. By the way, I if you really want to have access, what you need to create is you need to create your own AWS free tier account, which is valid for a year with 750 hours for free. So what you do initially, you go to the AWS free account here, Google it, then you click on it, you sign it with your account, maybe root email account, maybe amar.kalvikat@gmail.com, for example. And then once you verify the email, the next thing they ask you to put some of your detail, where you reside, what is your phone number, etc. Then, and if you look at here, it's 1 year, it's always free, 12 months free service. Some trials are available for any additional service. Then must have your credit card. Without credit card, you're not allowed to create an account. So you put your credit card details. Obviously, they don't charge you at all. If you're utilizing services which are apart from free, obviously you have to pay for it. But for the free service for 1 year, 750 hours, you don't need to pay at all. But they still need your credit card because mistakenly you create something which should not be part of free services, they will be charged to you. And then once the credit card information is filled, they will either send you text message or maybe voice call. You need to answer, and once that validation is done, you get a congratulation email. Obviously, once you get an email, then you also have to choose one of the support model. If you are taking free tier, it is a basic model support. That means some of the services, if it is unavailable, you can still reach
Excuse
out
me,
to
sir.
them.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please share current slide in full screen mode?
Full screen. It's not visible.
Uh,
1 second. Can you see now?
yes, sir. But not
Can you
in
see?
full screen mode.
Oh, full screen mode.
Uh,
Really? Can you?
No, sir.
No?
No.
Oh, what happened? Let me stop the scaling. Let me restart again. Enter screen. Can you see now something?
Um, I can see your screen, but not the presentation screen.
Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So for example, if you look at
No, sir. Still not in full screen mode, sir.
I don't know how to do in Google because I just shared my entire screen. The same way I used in Google.
Anyway, sir, you can
Chrome.
present.
But you can see something like what you can see. You
Yes,
can see the
yes,
shared model.
yes,
Can I
yes,
keep it
yes.
like that where you can see everything?
Shared responsibility model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was here, like I was now talking about how you create an account. You
Uh,
basically sign up with your email,
Sir, you
put
can
your data.
click F5 or a slideshow button.
Yeah, I exactly you see here, slideshow button, and then everything is here now. I
Okay,
don't
sir,
know
no
what's
issue.
happening.
Okay, sir, no issue. You can continue, sir.
But you can see something or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. So obviously, once you put all the details, you get a congratulation email, and then you can able to sign. Basically, go to the console. So let me walk you to the console where we have the last part, which is a lab. I have a couple of minutes. Hope I can make that happen. So oh, reload. Oh God, 1 second. Yes, okay. So now if you look at, I just log into the AWS console. You can log in with API or SDK, that's not a problem. But console is very easy if you are initial user, where you will see, hey, you know what, you just click on this sort of burger menu, where you see, hey, you know what, you have the compute services, your containers, database services. If you click at database, you see DynamoDB is NoSQL Server. There's Aurora database, for example. So you see bunch of things like even IoT services, you will see robotics, etc. So all the services are available. If you are unable to find, you can always search. You just type it like EC2, for example. If you type EC2, then you'll see that EC2 will be popped up. So easy to navigate, easy to search. First and foremost thing, if you land on this particular page, once you log in, the first thing you always have to choose is which region you want to build your application. Of course, you log in with Amar K, and then you want to say, hey, I want to build something in Mumbai region. So you, or maybe in North Virginia. Now I'm choosing North Virginia because it's very cheap and it's all the services are firstly available to that. But if you want, you can choose Mumbai region. Let's say you go to Asia Pac and you choose Mumbai. Then immediately what happens? It will change the region, and then whatever you built here, it will be built automatically to the Mumbai region. This is not the case in Azure. You will see that tomorrow the difference. But in AWS, the first and foremost thing you have to choose is the region. So now I'm choosing the East Virginia because it's cheaper. And what is the lab I'm going to configure is basically configuring the EC2 with the key actually at the public and private, but I'll quickly build the application. It's very easy actually. So as I said, any server or any application to build on top of server, what it basically needs is the vCPU, memory, storage.
इजी टू इंस्टेंस का
may-
प्रैक्टिकल है उनको, लेकिन जब तक लॉगिन नहीं कर सकते हैं बाद में कुछ भी
Any
नहीं
que-
है।
any question, ma'am?
वो जो मेरा एक कजिन है
हेमांगी कुलकर्णी मैडम,
उसका उसके कंपनी का अकाउंट
Mute
है, उसने
yourself.
ऑनलाइन में दिखाया था प्रोसीजर,
Madam,
लेकिन
can you mute someone?
अपने को लॉगिन करने के लिए क्रेडिट कार्ड की
हेमांगी
इन्फॉर्मेशन
कुलकर्णी मैडम, mute yourself.
Participants are requested to please stay on mute.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So let's assume that you want to build any application on top of the EC2, and the EC2 is nothing but a virtual machine, right? Probably you might have heard when I was telling virtual machine. Let me go back to the slide. So I'm putting this. Hello.
आपने ऐसा ट्राई किया है पहले कहीं पे?
बिरयानी खाई है लेकिन थोड़ी से अलग लग रहे हैं।
Hemangi ma'am, please mute yourself.
उनका मीट हमेशा यही मसाला बनाते हैं, लेकिन जो दूसरे खाते हैं ना उनको
I request Hemangi Kulkarni ma'am to please stay on mute.
लेकिन उनको पसंद है क्या बिरयानी?
Anyway, I'll continue. Hope everyone understand. So the EC2 is nothing but a virtual machine. Basically, this virtual machine I'm putting because I'm going to use Ubuntu as an operating system. So as I said, the cloud has two flavors. One is dedicated and the shared. And in the shared, there are virtual machine you can build, and on top of virtual machine you can build the containers. That is how the cloud providers offer as a service. So if you look at here now, I'll be building the virtual machine on top of the hypervisor. So for example, if you look at here, I go to the EC2 instance. If you click EC2 instance, then it will ask you to launch that instance. As of now, there is no running instances. The running instance is 0. So I'm going to build one EC2 instance into North Virginia region. So zero here, and then you go back here, here, and then you can launch. Either you can launch in the first place or maybe launch instance here. I'll click here once I go to the EC2. The first thing you have to do is you have to choose region, and the second thing is once you go to the EC2, you start basically filling that particular EC2's details. So for example, ACP demo 001, because ACP Patel College of Engineering, this is demo machine just for example. Then what you do, you choose the application or operating system. I'm choosing Ubuntu here. I mean, any Linux machine you can choose, or Windows. I'm not choosing Windows. Of course, there are two types, Windows and Ubuntu. Both are same. The only difference is Linux port is SSH 22, and Windows, when you choose, the port will be 3389, which is the necessary port on the firewall, which you need to open for internet users to connect. So now I'm choosing Ubuntu for SSH. When you choose, make sure you choose the free tier. That means there will be no cost to you. Don't choose something which is like this, where you have to pay the cost. So make sure when you free tier, choose the free tier account, and then there will be no cost for you. There are two architectures, is one x86 and ARM. ARM is a company which is acquired by SoftBank, another provider, and x86 is Intel based hardware. So choose Intel based hardware. And once you see that there are t-shirt size in the virtual machine, the like small, medium, large. So T2 micro is a small one, where I'm going to get, because it is a free tier also, one virtual CPU, 1 GB of memory, and there is no storage, right? Because only it offers virtual CPU and memory. So I'm going to get that. Now there is an option, either you can create new key, pair key, like like in I'm assuming you already have learned what is a public key and private key. When a sender send anything to the recipient, let's say I say hello message to you, initially it goes to the plain text. First, that data is encrypted with the public key, and when it decrypts with the private key, and then the recipients get the hello message. And in between, everything is ciphertext. That means it is encrypted by default. Just for your knowledge. But what I do, I'm not creating new tool because of the time. We are already 4 minutes ahead of the schedule. So I'm utilize, or else let's create a new key. That's not a problem. Let's create a new key. Just name has to be given, ACP, then demo, for example, and then keep the name unique, and then take the .pem side because this is open SSH, and just create. Once it is created, it will be downloaded to my download folder. Probably you see ACP demo here. And then what happens? You go down, and then network is already chosen because I'm using default one. If you don't want to default, you create a VPC, and that network will be chosen. I'll tomorrow in the next section I will explain what is a VPC, because that is a small design session where configuration is going to happen. But this is just creating an EC2. That's the reason I'm not choosing creating the new one. You take create security groups, or you can create existing one, whatever, and make sure you allow SSH, because this is a Linux where the port number 22, TCP port 22, which is SSH, will be open anywhere. If you look at here, you can either put your own IP just to allow your own access, but because I want this machine to be accessed by everyone on the internet, that's the reason I'm choosing all 0/0. That means everyone should come and access that particular application. Once you do that, obviously here is how much storage you need. If you look at here, for the T-tier, you can up to configure 30 GB of EBS volume. EBS is elastic volume. So I'm just keeping 8, which is fine for the demo. And you just simply click on launch the instance. Once you launch the instance, then if you look at within, you see the successful launch. Within couple of seconds, the instance is launched. The status of the launch instance is in pending now. Once it makes ready within a minute, it will be a running state. It should be, and make sure whenever there is an application running, and if there is a trouble, first and foremost thing you go and check is whether instance state is running or something else. If the instance is pending or something, that means that something is going fishy on that particular server. So make sure that it should be in the running state. That means the server is running fine. There might be an application issue. So these are the troubleshooting ways you can figure it out when you're working in a professional life in the near future, or maybe showing the demo to your students later on. These are the few things you need to check. So hope within a couple of seconds it will. So by the time this will be a running state, let's focus on what we have created. We have created instant type with T2 micro with one virtual CPU, 1 GB RAM. We have created into North Virginia region. Obviously, you will see every details here because we are in the region. Then you see immediately, because I did not specify which region which zone it should go and build it. It has automatically taken available zone, which is East US 1. East US is a region, then East is the part of that particular region, East, West, North, etc. And 1 is one zone only. If there is a 2A, means second zone has chosen, etc. And obviously the public IP assigned. Public IP means public IP is only routed on the internet. Private IPs are not. Just for your information. Obviously, there are too much details I'm giving, but this is also important to understand when you design your network. Only over the internet, public IPs are routable, not the private IPs. But I will show you in the next design that is different. Now, if you look at, still it is a pending list. Refresh it. Now it is in running, right? So it took me 1 minute to build your application or build your virtual machine. Now, to get access to that virtual machine, what I need to do is first I will open the terminal, and maybe for example I go to my git, and if you look at here, I'll do cd downloads. What happened? One second. It should come to the batch actually. No such directory. This is strange. Yesterday was working. If you look at here, but anyway, my point is, first what you need to do is, first let's assume that this server is working. Can I do public address? Let me copy. Let's do one thing. Let me connect, instead of doing here, let me connect via the tool itself. Probably this git has some issues, but if you look at here, there are another ways you can go back and connect. So your virtual machine is running instead. So what you can do, you connect, click on connect, which I already did here. What happened? Where's that box? Yeah. Once you click here, you connect. Once you connect, you basically what you do, you either connect SSH or you connect instance here. Once you create instance, by default, it takes username as Ubuntu, and you click on connect. When you click on connect, it automatically go and establish a connection. You see, now you come to the Ubuntu, and the point I would like to mention or highlight here, you need to see that same IP as it has to the virtual machine. So if you go back here and you see 172.31.27.190, which is exactly the same IP as my Ubuntu server, and that verifies that I'm connected already to my Ubuntu server. So now you can do some help command, or you can do ns lookup, for example. Yes. Hey, I'm going to click .com, which is my website, and I want to see my address. You will see that, hey, I got address. That means the virtual machine is built successfully. I can able to see some of the things because this virtual machine is on the internet, because it has a public IP address associated with it, which is, you see, this public IP is routed over the internet, and I can do many things from that. And that is how you start building your virtual machine and application. Obviously, you can build web application, you can install SAP on top of it, or Oracle, and then build your database on top and configure the schemas accordingly. And the schemas is nothing but rows and columns where you have customer data. For example, if Amazon, if I'm purchasing, or Flipkart, if I'm purchasing something, they have my details, right? The name, the address, the credit card information, that is one row, and there are multiple columns. That schema has been already automatically been configured when you build an application on top of this virtual machine. But before building an application, these are the primary things you have to do. Any questions? Because now we have completed the lab 1, where we configure EC2 with key pair. Any question? If not, just let me touch you some of the use case.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Chat box मध्ये there are questions in chat box.
Okay, okay. I'll take that. Just one slide I come touched based on the EC2, and then I'll pick up those questions. So if you look at the EC2, once you create the EC2, you need to also importantly understand the applications and use cases. So for example, if you have machine learning based applications, as I said, I have chosen T2 micro as an instance type. Plus, based on the compute or memory optimized related, I choose compute with T2 micro. That means one CPU, one memory. But you need to first understand, because this is the table given by Amazon Web Services. Every cloud provider has their different instant type of VM virtual machine types. So if you look at what, let's say if I have some application which are machine learning based, make sure you choose this instance type, F1, G3, G4, etc. Don't choose something else which is not supported in the application. That is also a configuration mistakes generally the engineers do or architect do. And some databases which are memory intensive or memory optimized, make sure you also choose R4 or R5, X1 or X7 type of instance while configuring it. This is mandatory while design and considering customer request. So with that, the day one, session one is done now. I'll pick up the questions and then I think we can wrap it up for the day, and we'll see you in the afternoon. Where to find the questions? 1 second. Oh, here. Okay. Hello, sir. Requesting to share PPT of demo EC2, virtual private cloud, VM, Ubuntu, so that we can refer help aid of for customers. Yeah, these slides will be shared with you. I'm not sure whether you are recording my session. If yes, then you will see how to create EC2. If not, I will add in my slides the procedure about how to create EC2 and how you choose parameters. That's one thing. Sir, do guide us for the process to get this cloud tool for student at the end of the session. Definitely, I will do so. I will let you know how to get that. Then any other question? It's a request to share PPT of demo EC2. Yeah, I think these are the questions which covered. Any other questions apart from that you want to ask here? Maybe unmute and ask a question actually. Hello? Hello, madam. I think look like there are no questions. Maybe we can wrap it up for the first session, and we'll see you in the afternoon. Maybe any questions from the professor side? Hello, ma'am.
Participants, you can ask your questions. Sir, I think there are no questions.
Okay. Okay, then we'll see you at 4:30, right?
Okay, sir.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. And
Thank you, sir.
have a great day. We'll see you in the afternoon. Bye-bye.